Ready to go!
Alrighty, ladies and gents, welcome to a peculiar video that you haven't seen me in this setting before. I'm literally sitting at my arm wrestling table on a stool, editing a video, drinking cider, and in between repping out. And the reason I've set it like this is because of a principle that I love, and I wanted to share it with you guys today. I wanted to talk about the principle of cumulative work over time and the effect that has. I've always been a big believer in this, and you can probably relate what I'm talking about to things like old man strength, things like farmer strength, real world practical strength, people who work in trades, mechanics in their hand and wrist, people who are throwing shingles on roofs all day long, people that do high volumes of significant weighted manual labor, and they do it every day for years. I really believe in that form of strength, and it's I believe it's very different to this type of strength where you're in the gym, you do a couple of lifts for 10-15 minutes specific to your sport, and sure, you get strong, but I think there's something different about the physicality that you develop over time when it's of this nature. So literally, I'm here because my legs are tired. I don't want to stand anymore. I don't want to be tired in that respect, but I want to just keep on flexing my wrist. I don't know how many reps I've done. I'm certainly not counting them, but it's just something that I want to intertwine into my routine so that I can achieve some of that just long-term ruggedness that comes with unbelievably high amounts of repetition. So, diving further into this train of thought, I can tell a few stories about the way I grew up, and my experiences in the army that kind of shaped this opinion. And you guys might, if you're like a really early follower of this channel, you'll remember I started the sport with no guidance at all. I started the sport with like a 10,000 rep per day goal, hours in the gym with light to medium weights, just repping. I used to run a supplement store, and I would just literally sit at the table. I didn't have a fancy setup like this. I had an old school setup with bands, and I would just rep bands literally all day long. But the train of thought. Let's go with the train of thought. The first experience I ever had like this was, I remember when I just finished high school, and my first job before joining the military was to be a labourer for a brickie or a builder. I remember the first 48 hours of that work. I had never been so sore in my life. Moving bricks, moving wet cement over and over and over again, all day long, literally put my entire muscular system into shock. And I remember waking up for day 3 thinking, I can't possibly go to work. But you don't have that choice, do you? You ultimately end up saying, no, I need to go. The boss is not going to accept a day off for the hell of it. So you go, and at about the 2-week mark into the job, you're not sore anymore, and you condition. And if you look at the guys in a career like that have done it for 20 years instead of 2 weeks, their wrists, their hands, their joints are thick. Everything about them are thick, and these are the guys that naturally can arm wrestle tremendously well. They're the guys that when you shake their hand, you don't feel any squish in their hand. It's just like arm wrestling or shaking hands with a piece of granite. I really believe that if you can, I want to take the philosophy in arm wrestling that if you can apply those same sort of cumulative principles of work in a specific to arm wrestling capacity, I think it's a beautiful thing what happens. both in your elbow, both in your hand and wrist. I noticed that my old wedding ring doesn't fit my hand anymore. So my fingers have already thickened from arm wrestling, without a doubt. And that's the same thing, if you look at a farmer's hands who's been picking up stuff all his life, his hands are incredibly thick. The second thing that made me really start to believe in that was when I was in the military. The military is all about being able to maintain a moderate to high degree of physical exertion over a very, very long and sustained period of time. It's not about short spurts. You need to be able to pack march for days on end, carrying half your body weight, again, on your back in water and ammunition. And then when you get there, you still need to be able to perform at a high level, and then you need to be able to extract yourself. So the Army, through its training, was constantly teaching you to be able to continue to perform at a high level, even when you feel like you can't, even when you feel like you're out of energy, even when you feel like you're hurt, even when you feel like you're inflamed and sore and just can't do it. They don't let you stop. And that develops another certain type of physicality that I think is very different. People who have been through that, not only do they develop that amazing physicality, but they develop a mental toughness as well, that when you bring that to the fight on the table, is something that is used as a tool and another weapon in that person's game, because it's a degree of toughness that you don't get from other areas. So I guess what I'm trying to say, guys, is I really believe in the cumulative weight theory, specific to arm wrestling. And hence you can see here, I've been in the gym today, I'm pushing about 4 hours in the gym. At about the 3 hour mark, I just got too tired, and hence I pulled out this stool. I put some Shameless on my laptop and started watching Shameless whilst continuing to rep. I've got 15 kilos on here. I better do some left as well to show you guys that I do it occasionally. 15 kilos on the weight, which is like what, 35 pound, 36 pound, something like that. Not a lot of weight, but it's enough to still stimulate a significant amount of signals in your body to prepare and thicken and harden and strengthen all the connective tissue, and ultimately thicken up the arm, the wrist, the joints, all that sort of stuff, to be an amazing piece of anatomy specific for arm wrestling. So I don't know, I feel like I should be smoking weed with Devin when we talk about things like this. But I'm not. I'm here in isolation in my garage. But I'm talking with you guys, so that's just as good. Anyway, it's an interesting comparison when you think about this, compared to the exact opposite approach, which is a very calculated, very intensified training program, very specific to the movements. I think more about like an Olympic sprinter and things like that. Guys that are really refined in their approach, really scientific approach, rest allocated much more frequently, probably more intense efforts when they do train. Yeah, for me, I'm a little bit combining both. Obviously what I do with Todd has a lot of those big intense efforts. I do a lot of 1 rep max training, but in between the 1 rep max training, all I'm doing is this sort of stuff. And right now I'm doing it on wrist flexion. Other times I do it on pronation. Other times I do it on wrist rise. Other times I do it on chop. Other times I do it on supination. Point is, I'm always doing it. And I'm really curious to see how this results long term. 5 years from now, where am I in the sport as a competitor? I believe I can go all the way. And by all the way, world champion in my weight category is something I want to achieve. Ultimately, going down as one of the greatest arm wrestlers ever is the big goal for me. want to get there. And the coolest thing is I just love this sport. I love the process, and I'm blessed enough that it is my career. So there's no reason for me to stop, barring a big serious injury. But to be honest, even a big serious injury wouldn't stop me. It'd just make me develop a new weapon in the meantime whilst I rehab the injury. But yeah, anyway, I'm rambling now, guys, but I just want to share that one with you because it's something that just popped into my head as I was sitting here editing a video. I better get back to editing the video, which will be out on YouTube Actually, it'll be out on YouTube before the one you're seeing right now. So this was the Jordan Davis hurting himself video. But anyway, alright guys, take care. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll talk to you again soon.
Yes, that's a man!